Man, so many sponsors. So many sponsors. I'd first like to thank Apple AirPods. I'd like to thank Show Pony. I'd like to thank Yeti microphones. I'd also like to thank Private Label Master Shirt for this. I'd like to thank Wild Leap Brewing Company, Fantasy National Golf Club. I'd like to thank Holistic Wellness CBD. I'd like to thank Chill Boys. I'd like to thank help me.
I'll thank boxed wine, black box wine. I'll thank Haynes boxers.
Oh, that could be a conflict of interest though.
47 Georgia Bulldog hats.
I would like to thank Sock Fancy for our TJ socks.
Yes, and you just threw out some On Cloud shoes.
Yep, those are my workout shoes. I'd like to thank. I'd like to thank my trainer. I'd really like to thank my trainer, actually, Cade. If you're out there, thank you for this. I'd like to thank Zoom for making this possible. YouTube, Apple. Am I forgetting anyone? I don't want to forget anyone.
I'd like to thank that that guy in college that basically taught me how to drink and like like just drink a lot and stuff. Like I think that guy, because like he really helped make me successful to the like you thank your trainer. That's like kind of like my trainer. So I'll thank him.
Who was that guy, by the way? Tell me more about that. I've never heard the story.
It was like a team of guys. Really, it was a team of people. I had a team around me. I want to thank my team. All those guys in college. They they got me to where I am today, and I can't thank them enough.
I'd like to thank the YouTube viewers, the YouTube live viewers. I'd like to thank them. Let's see. Let me just scroll here. Josh Kistler, imagine that. Marcus Miklovich, imagine that. Marcus Griffin, imagine that. Steve Tamag, Stevie T, my man, my main man. Glad you're on here. Thank you to you. Oh, forgot to thank God. Thank you, God. Thank. Oh yeah, whoever did these back banners. PhotoPie. Thank you to PhotoPie for these. Thank you to Ware Stewart for designing these. Thank you to Golby. Thank you to Ryan Cother, who's just joined on YouTube. Thank you to the listener. Thank you to you. You know what? We want to thank you. If you're not able to watch this, we want to thank you. Thank you to Bryson DeChambeau for inspiring us.
Yeah.
To thank
you,
people.
DB. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat.
Yeah.
Thank you, buddy. Man, thanking people's hard work. I should
Bryson
do that more
knows
often.
How to do it well. He's very good at it. He's got a lot of sponsors.
A lot of sponsors make it really tough, man, when you have so many sponsors to go down. But anyway, hey, welcome to the Tour Junkies podcast. We just, we chose to start this thing really weird and just copy Bryson at his press conference. And you know what? We're gonna talk about the U.S. Open because no one else is talking about it. I mean, whole world's just waiting on us to kind of give our takes. But frankly, like even if you don't want to hear any more about it, we want to talk about it because it's fun to talk about. So, me and Pat haven't really had a chance to debrief on a lot of things on the U.S. Open. So it's therapy for us. If you're just joining the Tour Junkies podcast, normally we don't spend any time recapping the tournament prior. We used to do that. We used to do that for a long time. And then we did a survey of some listeners. And most of the listeners were like, hey, man, we don't care about what's in the past. Let's get to the future. But tonight, we're going to talk about the past and we're going to talk about the future. We're going to break down the golf course at Corrales, Punta Cana, Dominican Republic, the PGA Tour event going on this week. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about DraftKings picks, fades, sleepers, what to do with Willy Z at the top. We're going to talk about some betting. I've got a handful of guys, actually more than a handful I want to talk to you about, Pat. I've done some price checking. I've seen prices already get shorter today. As I've been watching the betting market there. I'm going to talk about what it's going to take to win at Corrales. But you know what? The U.S. Open was a big deal. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about Bryson, Pat. Let's talk about Bryson. I would like to open up the floor. I have a handful of things that, I want to talk about. First of all, the lead in with the sponsor rant at the trophy ceremony was, what a guy. If you're looking to sponsor somebody and you got deep pockets, Bryson just sold himself to you. The very first thing he said at the trophy presentation, the very first thing he said opening up his press conference at the end. Great, big sponsor guy, and he's got a lot of them. He's done the Instagram tour. Now we've been blocked by Bryson, which hey, congratulations on being blocked by a U.S. Open champion, huh?
That's something we should be. Yeah, I'm glad about that.
Yeah, I'm not sure we've ever been blocked by a major champion before. Which is pretty cool.
It's a feather in our cap.
Yeah. I'm really proud of it, but I did go on my personal Instagram and look him up. He's already gone through the World Tour on Instagram as well, thanking Cobra, Puma, Bridgestone, Veritex Bank, Rolex, Bentley Motors. He likes that one. Sick Putters, Flight Scope Golf, Bose, NetJets, S&P Americas, Drinker Gain, and Jumbo Max Grips. Oh, wait a minute. There's more. High Definition Golf, NetJets, Grey Goose, LA Golf Shafts, Oars and Alps, Trump Golf. He's going to get canceled. Muscle Activation Techniques. I forgot to thank them. I forgot to thank Muscle Activation Techniques.
I don't know what that is, but yeah.
And then all of his coaches, trainers, all that. So yeah, anyway, that was that. Other than that, where do you want to start, Pat? Where do you want to start with Bryson?
You know what? I'll start with this. You got to hand it to him on Sunday. I mean, he came through and won the damn tournament. I mean, everybody else was going backwards. He was, I believe he's the only player under par, right? I think he was the only player under par on Sunday.
Yeah, I think so.
And, shoots 3 under. Just kind of in dominating fashion. I think once he kind of got that 2 to 3 shot lead, it was sort of just easy for him at that point. He obviously had much more experience down the stretch than a guy like Matthew Wolff does. So I'll start with giving him a little bit of credit. I mean, you got to give the guy a little bit of credit. He won that daggum tournament. It wasn't given to him. And it was horrible to watch. It was terrible. I mean, I wish it had gone a lot differently, but I got to give him a little bit of credit. I think, you and I and Ben have texted back and forth today some about Bryson. Of course, Ben comes in early this morning with the stats and actually how, everybody talked about how he just overpowered this course and blah, 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 blah. But actually, there was a lot of other things he did well, too. If you look back at his stats, approach, his putting, his scrambling, everything was really good outside of he did just bomb it around the course, but he didn't lead the field in strokes gained off the tee, I believe, right? It was Rory.
He did not. Rory led the field.
So it's not like it, it was a game changer for him, but regardless, I think I was, I don't know. I was just hoping for more of a more dramatic finish. I wanted Rory to try to make a run. I thought Matthew Wolff would hang in there, and he did. And you saw that eagle putt on 9, right after Bryson.
Yeah, that
Bryson
was clutch. Yeah.
Making that other eagle putt. I thought maybe we are going to see a good kind of back 9 stretch, but we just didn't. It didn't happen. But I like Winged Foot. I think Winged Foot is a really good U.S. Open venue. It was obviously extremely difficult. There was some talk on the first day after the scores were so low that was, oh, God, here we go again. We're going to get another U.S. Open course that's going to be easy for these guys. And then, bam, the USGA and Winged Foot just hits them in the face every single day after that. Like, I think there were there couldn't have been more than a dozen rounds under par after Thursday. I mean, I think Saturday was a little better.
Easier.
Saturday was a little better, but I really like Winged Foot as a U.S. Open venue. I think that was cool. My other thought is I think Phil Mickelson's done as far as competing in any sort of major on the PGA Tour outside of the Masters. I do think he can compete in the Masters because he can spray it all over the place. He's got he's still got that imagination around the greens. And, we saw like a guy like Fred Couples, compete at the Masters for a long, long time after he was got older and things like that. But I think it was sort of sad to see what happened to Mickelson on Winged Foot. Just killed him. And so I think that was a take that I have.
All right, I want to stay on Bryson for a minute. I don't want to jump all over the place right now. We'll get to that.
Well, I mean, you just like to talk about Bryson, but I mean, God, we
there's
can
a lot
only
to
hate
say
on him so much.
I'm not going to hate on. There's a lot to say, and I do want to say this. I want to say a couple things up front. Go on the record here. David Barnett, however it goes. David Barnett.
I think you just raise your hand in the air, like you don't have to like do like a weird signal or anything.
Gang signs. I forgot. I went back. David Barnett do believe and like Bryson for the game of golf. Okay. Golf needs Bryson. Golf needs Bryson to continue being weird and to have zero self-awareness and to keep breaking the matrix and to keep being Bryson. Golf needs that. We need that. I need that. So I'll say that right off the bat. Number two thing I will say, hand raise. David Barnett, do give Bryson all the credit for saying he was going to do something different, executing it, and delivering with authority. Don't hate him for it. Mad respect for it. And it is literally the first real game-changing thing that I've seen since Tiger hitting the gym. Like there's been nothing that has transcended or could potentially transcend the way people approach the game of golf more so than what Bryson has done. Mad respect, total props.
The hand comes down.
He totally deserved to win Winged Foot. 100% deserved to win Winged Foot. Oh, I'll say this too. We completely missed him. The Tour Junkies HQ completely whiffed on Bryson DeChambeau for the week. Were we alone? No, we were not. That's not an excuse, but we were not alone. To Pat's point, statistically, he had an all-around insane week, which is great. Like that's why he won by as many shots as he won by, and on a tough golf course. He could have, one of Ben's favorite stats that he passed out this morning is that he could have won Winged Foot having gained 0 strokes off the tee. So he could have been flat even, 0 strokes off the tee, and he still would have won Winged Foot. He finished 18th in putting, 3rd in strokes gained around the green, 1st in strokes gained approach, and 2nd in strokes gained off the tee for the week. Now, the outliers there over what he's been doing would be the approach play and the around the green play. Listen, the other thing that he's done is also he's found a putting technique that has paid off big time for him. I mean, like the arm lock style that he's using, he is putting amazingly before Winged Foot. So you can, you talk about the hitting it long and swinging hard and all that. It's great, but don't forget how good he's putted lately. But the wedge play and the iron play has been the bugaboo. And that's what everybody was like, well, that's what you're going to have to do well at Winged Foot. You're going to have to get up and down because you're going to miss greens. You're going to have to hit these greens. And he did. Third in strokes gained around the green. I looked to the beginning of 2019, just for reference. Since the beginning of 2019, we have 36 events where we have strokes gained data. 36. In 5 of those 36 events, he has gained as many strokes around the green as he did this week. This was one of 6 in the last 37 events where he's gained as much around the greens as he did here. Similarly, on approach, he's only done it 11 times. In the last 36 events, he's done it 11 times, gained as many strokes with his irons and on approach as he did this week. Those were the 2 outliers that all came together this week to give him the week that he had. He was 6% owned in the $100 Millie Maker on DraftKings. in one of the larger stakes, small entry tournaments on DraftKings, the $3,180 entry 19th hole. He was 3% owned. So the whales, the sharp money, paying $3,200 to play in a DraftKings contest, were half as scared to pick him as they were in the $100 millie. He was 3% owned. He was faded almost everywhere. I think Jeff Feinberg got him. Props to Jeff. He loves Bryson, and good on him. But nobody thought he was going to be able to do this. I think we definitely learned something from this that I know Phil pointed out on Instagram, and I think everybody listening needs to file this away for future tournaments. Did you see the thing that Phil said about why he was able to play this golf course so well from the rough?
I did not see that, actually, but I have a guess as to what he would have thought. But
well, do you want to give a guess and then you be wrong, or do you want to give a guess and maybe be right? You take the chance. It's up to you.
I can give a guess and probably be wrong. I don't mind that.
I'm just asking. I don't want to.
No, I mean, I think if as far as he's hitting the ball, well, outside of strength being the fact that he's so strong that he can just like get it out of the rough, like we'll throw that out the window. I think if you are playing in deep rough with a club like a 9-iron or a pitching wedge or an 8-iron even that he can just bomb anyway, I think you've got a much better chance of holding the green and staying on the green than you do if you're further back and you're hitting a 4 or 5-iron or a 6-iron even out of the rough. I feel like that's the advantage that you have by just being able to bomb it as far as he can and staying somewhat online, like not going into the trees and crap, but at least he's got that more lofted club to be able to get it up higher and then hold the green. That would be my guess as to what Mickelson may have said.
Yeah, and that's accurate, but that's not what he said. I mean, we already kind of knew that, right? What Mickelson said that I don't think we think about enough is he said the reason it worked at Winged Foot is because you have the run-ups to these greens. There's no forced carry into the greens. So when you have a course that doesn't have all that severe back to front slope, where they built in a lot of run-ups to go up to the green, where if you fell short, if you didn't fly it far enough on the green, the ball's going to roll all the way back in the fairway, you're going to have to chip up. That gave him the advantage because he didn't have to carry anything. He just had to get a lofted club out of the rough, let it hit in front, tumble a little bit. He could play that way instead of having to land it somewhere, carry, traps or whatever, and then have it land soft and stick, which I think is something for us to think about as we handicap courses from here on out. And frankly, I didn't hear anyone talking about that with Winged Foot. So we missed it. Sounds like everybody else missed it. But of note, when we have a place like this where all everybody's talking about is how thick the rough is and how you got to hit fairways, if guys have the ability to run the ball up the greens, that's something to think about. And Bryson said it himself too. He said, this place actually being as narrow as it was, everybody was going to miss them. So I may as well hit driver, which he said he was going to do early in the week. But then you had other guys like Gary Woodland, you had Tiger, you had Justin Thomas, you had all these guys talk in their press conferences say, no, I'm going to make sure I'm in the fairway. But Bryson said he was going to do it, and he did. He hit 23 fairways, the fewest ever in history for a U.S. Open winner. And it was the lowest overall fairway hit percentage in U.S. Open history. Lowest fairway hit percentage in U.S. Open history. So when everybody's missing them, being the longest guy out and being able to do what you just said, hack it out with a 9-iron instead of a 6-iron is definitely an advantage. So, I got to give him all the props. I still can't stand the guy. From a personality standpoint, can't stand him. But I am going to soak up the content that's going to come out of this. The added press, the bigger head the head is going to continue to evolve. He's going to be like you remember the old this just popped in my head. You remember the old Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles villain, the Brain?
Yes, I do.
That's Bryson. It's just like a floating brain and a big brain. It's no body. It's just going to be a big. His head's going to be so big. Even that big body of his, you're not going to be able to see.
And it's only going to get worse now that we're coming up on the Masters, which he's going to be, I haven't even looked at the updated odds for the Masters, but I'm sure he's the favorite now. If he's not, he should be, and he's going to be the favorite for the Masters again in April. So
did you see his quote about what he wants to do before Augusta?
I don't even know if I want to hear it.
So someone asked him, first of all, they said, for the record, what's your height and weight? He said, I'm 6'1", 230 to 235. He fluctuates. And he said, but he wants to get to, by Masters, 245. He said, I want to try to gain 15 more pounds, pack it on. I think I can do it. It's going to be hard. I think I can do it. I want to pack on 15 more pounds, keep pushing it. There is going to come a point where I'm going to peak and I can't go further, but I think I could get 245, continue swinging harder by the time we get to November. I'm wondering if he thinks he can get any taller. Like, I would love to see if he can try to make himself taller.
Does he think he can gain?
Then he can get a longer swing arc, more speed. Yeah. If he gets taller, maybe he shows up at the Masters like 6'4", 245. That could be cool. I would give him props for that.
Yeah.
But that's what he wants to do. That's what he wants to do. We actually just worked a deal with our friends over at PointsBet. And I'll tweet out the link or put it on Instagram or something if you want. But if you're in New Jersey or Illinois, I think, and you want to place a bet on a parlay of Bryson winning the Masters in November and the Masters in April, got to win both. They're giving you 90 to 1.
I think that's pretty decent.
It's not great, but anyway, it's a fun bet.
Yeah, I don't think it's.
If you sign up using promo code TJ250, got to be in New Jersey, got to be in Illinois. PointsBet TJ250. You can hit that Bryson 90 to 1 to win both Masters. It's gonna be interesting. I mean, I'm telling you, for him to be able to do what he did at Winged Foot, it's going to be easier at Augusta. Way easier.
It's going to be hard to fade him that week too, and I'm going to want to.
It's going to be impossible to fade him.
Yeah.
Trying to think what else. I mean, I got to give him props for the Saturday evening range session. Like, I mean, that's what I'm saying. I just think the guy, I just feel like I wouldn't want to be his friend, right? He'd just be a self-absorbed, high and mighty, but also like lacking complete self-awareness guy. But I got to give him props for working as hard as he does. He talks about going to the range, putting in the hour Saturday night to figure something out with the driver for the next day so he could hit it straighter. Like, props to him. Can't believe he didn't thank the range attendant in his speech for letting him out there in the evening and going and shagging all the balls or being out there while he's hitting it. But he did that. Like, props to him. So I wonder what he's going to do with the $2 million. He's got no woman. You can't find a trace of a girlfriend on him. No kids. I don't think he has many friends. Maybe the foreplay guys. But other than that, like, what's he going to spend the money on? What is Bryson? He doesn't need a car. He's got Bentley. He doesn't need AirPods. He's got Bose. He doesn't need a watch. He's got some watch thing. What is he going to buy? What is he going to buy with all the money that he gets from all the sponsors that are?
Like, it's like you think about, like, after you win something like that. All right, so like if DJ wins something like that, let's talk about single DJ. Like, he's buying a lot of like strippers and blow and stuff. But like, Bryson's probably he's like instead of like strippers and stuff, he's probably like he's finding like all guys like him. He's gonna like pay for like 10 guys around him to be like he's gonna go out and they're just all gonna like love on some Bryson, because he doesn't have a girlfriend or anything. They're just gonna be just a bunch of douchebags that he can hang around. That's what. So
Jersey Shore guys, like I kind of picture Jersey Shore guys. No offense to New Jersey listeners, I picture like the Jersey Shore. Like, he's gonna scrounge up a bunch of Jersey Shore boys. They're all meatheads. They're all gonna go except he doesn't drink. Like, what's he gonna do? He's gonna go order a White Russian sans alcohol every time they go out to a bar. He doesn't drink anything. But like, have a beer, drink a beer out of the freaking trophy.
Yeah, that's what I would say. I mean, I don't know. I can't think of anything else that he would buy because, like, again, like he has he's going to buy something that would just be so out. Like he's probably gonna like say, "I'm gonna build a new workout facility in my house or something." Like that's what
Well,
he would say.
I feel like he's gonna start his own like equipment line, like fitness line. He's gonna start his own like fitness equipment Bryson stuff with his little outline of his face and his goofy hat. I don't know, man. I don't know what he could do, but I mean, because again, very little friends. He doesn't have a lot. So, um, other than that, I mean, listen, I got to take a quick victory lap just for Ben Little as he's listening on Patrick Reed. I have to do that. I was banging the Patrick Reed drum on the podcast Sunday night we recorded, in all my articles, in the Nut Hut, and me and Ben are firing off texts back and forth on Tuesday night, I think it was. And I knew the chalk bomb was going to be Patrick Reed. Chalk bomb comes out. Who is it? It's Patrick Reed. Me and Ben in the Nut Hut go back and forth, about Reed. I try to sell Reed. He tries to say
Very
no on Reed.
very uncomfortable.
Very uncomfortable conversation. We get into it. But DB is right, because you know what, Pat? This used to happen all the time when we first started out. You used to be like, you know what, dude? It's not always about stats. It's not always about. Remember when I used to look at like apex height and wild stats, and I would just be stat man. You'd be like, it's not always about stats. Sometimes it's about the intangibles, or like it's about your gut or whatever. So, and that stuff is still very true in golf. And I just knew it is the U.S. Open. He is, in his mind, he is Captain America. It is a major championship. It is being presented to everyone as a difficult task to conquer that only the best will be able to conquer Winged Foot. And he believes wholeheartedly he is the best. He's a grinder, and he did what grinders do. Now, he sucked on Saturday. He shot a back nine like 40 something. He was terrible. But a T17, I think, is where he ended up. Despite this, or T13, one or the other. Despite that finish, he was sixth in DraftKings scoring. At like his price of $80-something $100 or low nines or whatever he was. Got to take my victory lap. The chalk bomb comes out, and a lot of times, I would say 85% of the time, I will either agree with Ben, or I will read what Ben says and go, you know what? I'm going to flip-flop, and I'm going to do what Ben is suggesting, because Ben's a smart guy. 85% of the time, I agree with it, and more times than not, it pays off. If you play the chalk bomb, if you fade the chalk bomb every single week for the year, more times than not, it will very much pay off. Mm-hmm. This time, I stood my ground, and I'm proud of myself. F you, Ben.
You just had to get that in there, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
We got Bryson wrong. I got Reed right. We got Zalatoris right. We talked about Zalatoris as a top 10, top 20 bet on this show, on the DraftKings After Dark show. He ends up finishing sixth. Fantastic finish for Will Zalatoris. The betting card, again, so close. My betting card, so close. Harris English at 90-1. Louis Oosthuizen at 100-1. Reed, before he crapped the bet on Saturday, at 60-1. All up on the betting card. So for like the second week in a row, last week the week before, we had Harry Higgs runner up at 100-1. The betting card is coming close. The hit is coming soon. And because it's a big balls betting card, it's going to be a big hit. So I'm pumped about that. I'm never going to bet somebody as short as Bryson was, so it's not going to happen. Other than that, we didn't, the picks weren't bad on the show, but, we faded Bryson, and that killed us. You liked Matt Wolff.
Yeah.
You liked Matt Wolff. But we both faded Bryson publicly on the show, so it is what it is.
Yeah.
And we felt like it was an easy fade.
So. I know, that was like the one that I was like, oh, I'm so comfortable with this. Anyway.
Yeah. Also, Marcus says, chicks say that I need to work on my apex height. That is probably true, Marcus. That's very good. Yeah, I mean, anything else from the U.S. Open? I liked Winged Foot as well. Lovely course. Great stuff. Anything else?
I think that's it. I mean, Bryson's the story. I mean, he's a story, whether you like him or not. So
I'll give him one more piece of credit. As awkward as the interview, as the call with his parents was when he walked out of the scoring thing, it was very awkward. I almost felt like we shouldn't hear that. Like, why do we need to hear that? If I'm the parent, I don't like. You wouldn't normally hear that conversation.
Yeah, that was kind of weird to me.
I didn't love that. If I'm the parent, I would want that to be a moment between me and my son. Let me say what I need to say. The whole world doesn't need to hear that. But anyway, it was awkward beside that. Like Bryson was like social distancing from the video screen. He was like 10 feet away. And then there were all these people around with masks on. It was just weird. But I will say he seemed extremely genuine and gracious to his parents, who I'm sure sacrificed a lot for his growth and development in golf. And as a father of a kid who likes to play golf, like I thought, man, that would be amazing to hear. What an amazing thing. And it seemed genuine. And I was like, hey, stand up move there, Bryson. Props to you for that, especially with everybody watching, because it should have been a private conversation. So that's it. That's all for me.
I don't have anything else either. U.S. Open's over.
U.S. Open's over. On to the Masters.
Yeah.
But we do have an opportunity this week, Pat. It is the Corrales Punta Cana Resort and Club Championship 2020 from the Dominican Republic. It is normally an alternate event, but this week it takes center stage, and we feel like it's a great opportunity to make some bets, have a little leverage. There's a lot of volatility in this. The field isn't very good, but a lot of different guys could win this tournament. Anybody could win this tournament, just about. So I'm excited about it, man. I'm excited about it. Let's hear a little bit about this golf course in Punta Cana.
Yes, center stage. That's a good way to put it, I guess. I guess it takes center stage.
Well, it could still be in center stage, just nobody's looking or paid to come. Nobody bought a ticket, but it's still center stage.
All right, so let's talk about the course for the Corrales Championship. Yes, we are at Punta Cana Resort and Club. It is a par 72, playing 7,666 yards. I don't like that number, 666. It's just a bad number. That's a bad number. Interesting grass surface this week. We got Paspalum grass, basically tee to green. So that's something that's interesting. And, we don't typically see that except for when we get into these kind of warmer climate type golf courses. It's a pretty easy course, though. If you look at the last 4 years, they've played events here. So 2 years they've had a PGA Tour event, but before that, it was a web.com event. It's played pretty easy, a lot of scoring. This is one of those resort style golf courses where, this is like an amateur golf course. This is not set up to be a tournament style, PGA Tour style golf course. It's set up for guys that are coming there to play golf in a resort and things like that. So it's a relatively easy golf course, but definitely playing pretty long when you look at that 7,666 yards. But I'm looking at the scoring stats this week. I think that's going to be huge. Par 5 scoring is going to be one that I'm going to look at. Birdie or better percentage. But if you look at it as far as the fairways, and they're relatively easy to hit. Greens are easy to hit, so not a whole lot there. It's just one of those courses that these guys are going to be able to just kill. They're going to score a ton on. Where there is defense, because it is a coastal style course, is with the wind. And so if we do see that the wind is going to pick up a little bit, that could make it, a little bit more difficult. But, if you look at the past champs, we had Graham McDowell in 2019, Bryce Garnett in 2018, Nate Lashley was a web.com winner in 2017, and Dominic Bazzelli in 2016. Not necessarily known as, especially GMAC. They're not bombers, even though it's as long as it is. But there is a little bit of elevation. The ball does tend to travel a little bit more out there on this course. So it's not like, I don't think you really have to be a bomber just because it's so long to fare well on this course. I think you just got to score. And you got to worry about the devil's elbow, DB, because those are the finishing 3 holes. And that's what they call it, the devil's elbow. And it's like supposed to be really hard because the devil's if the devil is in the name of the finishing holes, that means it's difficult. You better watch and evil. Yeah,
you better button up.
Yeah, so that's important to know that you need to play the devil's elbow really good.
Why is the elbow so scary?
I don't
Why is it
know.
like the devil's like the devil's is it because it's like bendy or something, or it's like very pointy?
Yeah, I think it's because it's
Why
like
wouldn't it be
it
like the
like
devil's horn or
no, I know, but I think it's because it like finishes like an elbow, like it like you can't. Well, you listeners can't see what I'm doing, but it's
you know
like a pointy kind of deal. It's like a pointy, a bending end along the coastal uh, surfaces and
uh
stuff.
I
So
know like when you get older your elbows get pointier. I'm pretty sure that's science. Like your
mm,
ears and your nose keep growing. Maybe it's just because the devil's so old. You know what I mean? Like he's real old. I think he's pretty old. He's an old dude. So his elbow is real pointy because the old guys have real pointy elbows because you might run up on an old guy.
is my elbow getting more?
I think it
It's
is
kind of
actually.
pointy.
I think it's more pointy than it was when we started Tour Junkies 5 years ago. Pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. But like when I run up on an old guy sometimes and I'm thinking to myself, like I might want to fight this guy, for whatever reason. Like maybe he does something that, he shouldn't do, or maybe, what if he what if he thinks I'm trying to steal something and he wants to attack me? Like the first thing I know I got to do is neutralize the elbows. Cause if you don't neutralize a pointy elbow from an old man,
Yeah.
your ass is grass. You know what I mean? So maybe that's what it is, which sounds
Well,
intimidating.
Tom Fazio was the designer here, and he was kind of an older guy
Old
too. So
guy.
maybe he started like looking at his elbow, and he was like,
Yeah. That makes total sense.
this is a mean looking elbow.
Yeah, that's why you don't
Anyway,
see old people in UFC. That's why, because you
yeah.
can't. That's like bringing in. That's like having a like what you wouldn't let like Conor McGregor have a spear in the octagon. So if
Uh,
you let an older guy like maybe in his 60s come in there with his elbows, you're not just gonna hurt somebody, like you're gonna kill somebody.
you could kill somebody.
Yeah.
That's a good thought. I haven't really thought about that, but I have thought about the stats that I'm looking at this week.
Oh, good.
And, there is a little bit of course history that we have over the last couple of years. I'm looking at form for sure, just based off, maybe the last few weeks, Safeway. Off the tee is a stat for me, but the scoring stats are really what I'm focusing on. Par five scoring, birdie or better percentage. These guys are going to have to take advantage of every opportunity they get on this course, especially the front nine, which is gettable from on both par fives. So that's about it for me for the course preview. Any thoughts from what you've looked at?
Great course preview, Pat. I echo your echo of everything. I too am looking at scoring. Does this person have the potential to go ridiculously low and win this thing at 20 under? That's kind of what I'm looking at. Can they win it at 20 under? Par fives, I think, are a big thing. Distance, I like distance, even though the four champions you mentioned, not long hitters at all. None of them really are long hitters at all. So I don't think it's required, but I like it. Daddy likes. I bet this field is a little stronger than we've seen in years past. Probably means there's a few more long hitters in play here. It sounds like it is something though where you just gotta the putter's got to get hot because everybody's gonna get hit the green in regulation. You got to hit it close. You got to get hot with the putter. So I don't know. I'm kind of looking all around ball strikers, scorers, but I definitely am. You're gonna see it in my picks. I mean, I'm leaning distance. So, and obviously, if you're playing DraftKings, FanDuel, whatever, ownership, leverage is key. So, all of our stats brought to you tonight by our friends at fantasynational.com/TJ, our one-stop shop for PGA Tour stats, tournament history, recent finishes, recent results, strokes gained data, a bunch of proprietary stats that you can't find anywhere else but Fantasy National. You can have they have lineup builders, ownership projections, optimizers for DFS content. They have betting odds up there as well. FantasyNational.com is our one-stop shop and has been for 3 years on the Tour Junkies podcast. Go to FantasyNational.com/TJ today and sign up for a 20% off of any package that you pick. Weekly, you can do it weekly, just test it out, test the waters. You can do it monthly, or you can go ahead and pay up for the annual membership, get a big break there. If you start off with the weekly membership to test it out, guess what? You can upgrade to the monthly and still get the 20% off if you go to fantasynational.com/TJ or type in Tour Junkies with the promo code or the where did you hear about us kind of thing. So all the stats coming to you courtesy from Fantasy National. Appreciate those boys over there. All right, let's get into it, Pat. We're going to talk DFS. We're going to talk DraftKings, 9K and above range. We're going to give you 3 tournament plays that we like for GPPs or large tournaments. We're going to give you a cash lock for head-to-heads, 50-50s, and double-ups, and a fade. Pat, everyone in the chat on YouTube live seems to believe that you are going to be all over Willy Zalatoris. So why don't you start and tell us first off your thoughts on Willy Zalatoris and if our YouTube viewers are in fact correct?
So I will start, and then I'm going to have to run to get a quick refill, but I'll let you go. But I will start with Will Zalatoris, who I know everybody's going to talk about because he is the top priced guy this week at 10-9 on DraftKings. And yes, I am going to play Mr. Will Zalatoris. I don't care if it's a trap. I don't care what you say. The guy has been dominating the web.com tour all year long, or the Corn Ferry. Sorry, I still can't get Corn Ferry wrapped into my mind that I need to say that. But he's been dominating this year. And, we saw him play extremely well on a very tough course last week at the U.S. Open. He's not fazed by anything as far as, where he is and what is, being on tour and everything else. I would typically say, and actually before I even looked at pricing this week, I said it in my mind. I said, one of the first things I'm going to say on the podcast when we get in the 9K above and above range is that I'm not going to be tempted to take anybody over 10K because this field is so weak and there could be, there's so many different things that could happen that I'm not going to take anybody over 10K. But I changed my mind and I'm going to go with some Will Zalatoris. I like him this week. You look at the stats. He is great off the tee, great on approach. He checks the box in opportunities gained, which is a stat, proprietary to Fantasy National. One of the things I looked at, and you hate, I know, but I like proximity this week on these easy greens where you got to be able to hit it close and give yourself scoring opportunities. So I like that. He's second in the field in proximity. So I will play Zalatoris in DraftKings this week. He's a GPP play, by the way, for me, not a cash play. Okay. Next GPP play, I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom of the 9K range. And this is kind of a little bit of a gut feel, but I'm going to Pat Perez at 9,100. Now, doesn't necessarily check the box off the tee, but he's 18th in the field in strokes gained approach, checks the box in opportunities gained, birdie or better percentage, par 5 scoring, proximity. We saw him play pretty well last week. Where was he last week? I think he was a top 15 finish. Yeah, he was T9 last week, or 2 weeks ago, sorry, at the Safeway Open. I think Pat Perez could be a good kind of turn. This feels like, him down in the Dominican Republic. He's just like kind of, just sort of, having a good time, whatever. I just think it's
his hair, though. You think he can still play with his haircut? I don't know. It's like Samson.
I think he can. So I like some Pat Perez. And then I like Denny McCarthy at 9,600. I think he is a good play this week as well. You look at the stats for him. He is, let's go across the board. He's 25th in strokes gained approach, 51st in opportunities gained. He's second in the field in birdie or better percentage and 23rd in par 5 scoring. I like some Denny McCarthy. I think that's a good price also for him at 9,600. I know he missed the cut at the Safeway, but was playing pretty well up, before that with a top 10 finish at the Wyndham, T49 at the Northern Trust. But I think Denny McCarthy this is a good week for him. So I like him at 9,600. My cash play is Adam Long at 9,900. I think he's another guy that is just sort of class of this field. I mean, look, this is not a great field, but he's a guy that, you look at his last 4 cuts he's made at the BMW, the Northern Trust. Well, it wasn't one at the BMW, but at the Northern Trust, at the Wyndham T31, he was T13 last week at the U.S. Open. I think Adam Long makes a ton of sense, especially in cash. He's just not going to be making a whole lot of mistakes out there, and he can score. He's 12th in the field in opportunities gained. He's 5th in birdie or better percentage. He's 9th in strokes gained on par fives. So I like that. 35th off the tee, 17th in the. I mean, literally all the boxes Adam Long's checking. So I like him as well. And my fade is going to be Charles Howell III. Just don't like him. I think I wonder where their ownership's going to be with him. He's literally not checking any box at all. It may be par five scoring. I'll give him that. But I just don't like Charles Howell this week. I think he's been so up and down all year long. I feel like he'll garner some ownership just because of his name and, because of this field being as weak as it is. So he will be my fade. So there you go.
All right. You're going to go get a refill?
Yeah, go.
All right. Well, yeah, I think the Zalatoris play is foolish. I love Will Zalatoris. Listen, I think he's a talented guy. I think he deserves a spot on the PGA Tour and some sort of membership that's beyond what he has now. But the Zalatoris play, even though you're getting a nice discount at 10.9, which normally we see the top price guy over 11, despite that, it's a foolish play. The guy, first of all, like the mental exercise that he had to go through at Winged Foot alone in New York, flies to Puerto Rico. It just doesn't feel great. I know he's young, but dang, like going from Winged Foot to this, I don't know. But I just think the percentage play is that this guy, Will Zalatoris, is getting a lot of credit. He's got like 11 straight top 20s or something on the Korn Ferry Tour. He's got a win on the Korn Ferry Tour. I get it. He is a great player, and he will be a thing on the PGA Tour. He will be. But it's just not worth what he has to return at the end of the day. The way that he returns value as the top price guy is not likely for him. And it's less likely for a guy like Will Zalatoris as it would be for a much bigger name in a much stronger field that you would pay the same price for. Don't think it's worth it. So I think you fade him. And I don't think he's actually going to be all that unpopular. I think people are going to play him. I think people are going to like the price at 10.9, and they're going to play him. I don't think so. So he's my fade. My cash play and tournament play is going to be Emiliano Grillo, who has played Punta Cana before. He did okay, but Grillo's recent form, very, very solid. He checks a lot of boxes. He's great total driving off the tee, hits it long enough, hits it very, very straight. The iron play has been extremely solid over the last few events. Finished third place at the 3M Open a few weeks back, 29th at the Safeway just 2 weeks ago. Checks the box in strokes gained approach, opportunities gained, DraftKings points, greens and regulation gained all over the last 24 rounds. I think Grillo is a fantastic play at 9,800. I would like to start most of my cash lineups with him, but I'll also play him in tournaments. The other two tournament plays for me, Pat mentioned, he mentioned Adam Long, which I like. Depending on how popular he's going to be, we'll see. But I think Cory Connors is your pivot. I think Cory Connors is the pivot of the week because, like Zalatoris, coming from Winged Foot, unlike Zalatoris, missed the cut at Winged Foot, missed it by one stroke on the final hole. So had a weekend to kind of take a break from Winged Foot, but arrived to Winged Foot having played, pretty well with the 33rd at the BMW at Olympia Fields, 25th at the Northern Trust. We've seen some great finishes in strong fields, really strong fields from Cory Connors. Great off the tee play, great iron play. It's all about the short game for him. Typically, he loses a little less than a stroke around the greens in most of his events over his career. At Winged Foot, he lost 5. He could not chip out of that rough. Yeah, I don't blame him. Like a lot of people could chip out of that rough. But I like the pivot because I think a lot of people are going to play Zalatoris still, and even more are going to be playing Mackenzie Hughes and especially Sam Burns. Now, I love Sam Burns, but I think Sam Burns is going to be the chalk of the week at 10-1. I'll go ahead and put it out there. I mean, I don't mind betting on Sam Burns for sure. He's a little short for me in a field like this, but He's going to be very chalky in DFS. The lowest owned guy in this 10K range is going to be Cory Connors, but he has upside. He's a PGA Tour winner. Him and Mackenzie Hughes, Adam Long, Grillo, all PGA Tour winners already. And, you know, we also tend to get some intel on Cory Connors late on Wednesday night that may prove helpful for some. So if you're not already a member of the Nut Hut, you need to join the Nut Hut. By the way, shout out. We just, Pat is working with fellow TJ listener Marcus Griffin. We have revamped the Nut Hut Listener League. There's a whole lot of ways that you can win a trip about this time next year. You can win a trip to come to either Augusta or Savannah, play a round of golf or two with me and Pat. We'll treat you to either my place at Champions Retreat or Pat's place at the Landings. Pat's place at the Landings hosts the Korn Ferry Tour event. Beautiful spot. Champions Retreat hosts the ladies amateur event that the Masters puts on. Another great spot. We'll be glad to host you. There's a lot of ways to win, but you got to join the Nut Hut. $10 a month, $90 a year. Get all the intel from us late on Wednesday night. Join the Wednesday night chat. Join the chat 24/7 and talk to a lot of very sharp listeners that we have in the chat all the time. And then get the invite to the free, it's a free DraftKings private invite to Nut Hut members only. And if you win any event throughout the year, there's going to be 50 chances for you to do this. If you win any Nut Hut event throughout the year, you automatically get a shot at the live final for the Northern Trust. Is it next year, Pat? Is that the tournament?
It is going to be the Northern Trust. Yes. We wanted it to be a cut event. We didn't want to have like this past year where we didn't have the players, the Tour Championship, which was just kind of a not a great way to end it. So we wanted there to be a cut event and to have it kind of like a live final where the winner of that just won it. So it's going to be, I think we've got it. I think we've got it pretty good here. Like you said, if you win any of the Nut Hut weekly events, you're entered into the live final. And then we're also we've got it segmented out into quarters. So there's going to be 4 different segments. If you win a segment, you also get an entry into the live final. And if for some reason you win multiple weeks, which could happen if you win multiple weeks of the league or multiple segments, which I can't imagine. If you do that, that's just really
or like you win a week and a segment.
Yeah, you're going to get extra points when it comes to the final, live event, you might say. So you will have a better chance to win that week. So it's going to be fun. I think it's a way better. And we also want to keep everybody involved throughout the year, even our new listeners, our new Nut Hut members, all that kind of stuff. It gives everybody a chance to kind of stay involved with the league. So I'm looking forward to it. By the way, who won this past week?
Yeah, this past week it was, I don't know how to say this name. The DraftKings handle was J Copes, JKOEPS. So shout out to you, sir. You have already won an entry into the live final event for the Northern Trust next year to earn a chance to come play some golf with me and Pat and have a great time. Looking forward to that. So join the Nut Hut. Join us. It's a lot of fun. It's $10 a month. It's like literally nothing. So go to tourjunkies.com, click on Golby's Nut Hut, and join today. But I bet we're going to have some information on Cory Connors come Wednesday. So all that could change, in other words, based on our information. But I like Cory Connors.
Stepped out when I know you were talking about with our boy Willy Zalatoris, and I know you were fading him, and I heard I kind of it was coming in and out of the AirPods here of what you were saying. But did you think ownership is going to be high on him?
Yeah. I mean,
I'll be interested to see where it is.
I mean, I bet he's like 17% or higher. So it's not like super chalk, but it's enough. So Grillo, Cory Connors, and I'm gonna go. Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you on Adam Long. Those are my 3 tournament plays for all the reasons you said. All right, let's go to the 8K range. I like this range a good bit. I'll start it. I'm gonna go with right off the top. I think Charlie Hoffman is going to give you some ownership leverage. I feel like he's going to give you some leverage. This is a weird event for Charlie Hoffman to play in. Normally doesn't have to play in tournaments like this. But with the new year starting, he's got to do some things to keep status on the PGA Tour. And over the last 24 rounds, he is top 15 in the last 24 rounds. Sorry, let's go top 16, okay? Top 16 in the last 24 rounds. He is top 16 in strokes gained approach, strokes gained on par fives, DraftKings points scored, opportunities gained, birdie or betters gained, and greens and regulation gained. Now, some of those stats are related, but he's top 16 in all those. Like, he doesn't hit it very far, but he's okay. He doesn't hit it very straight, but these are wide fairways. You know, I think that's it. I think Charlie Hoffman at 8,900 is going to be a quite overlooked play. And we know he has win equity. I think he still has win equity in a field like this for sure. Proven winner on the tour. I think he's got it. And then I'm going to go with Adam Schink in tournaments. I like Adam Schink. Checking a lot of boxes. Played here twice, T33, T35 in his 2 outings here at Corrales, Punta Cana. Let's see. Recent form. Made the cut at the Safeway, Northern Trust, 39th. Wyndham made the cut. He's made a lot of cuts. You know, best finish was a 30th at the Rocket Mortgage since the restart, but he's a cut maker. And now you come to an easier tournament. He's a cut-making
machine. I mean, he makes a ton of cuts.
He does. He plays a lot of golf, makes a ton of cuts. So I like Schink. And then for cash, I'm going to go Luke List. I like Luke List all the way around in any contest. I like him. I think he gives you a ton of win equity. I think Luke List is, you know, honestly, and I know Vegas doesn't agree with this, but personally, I give, you know, Willy Zalatoris, Zalatoris, no better chance to win this golf tournament than Luke List. That's why I can't play him. I can't play him at 10-9. If I can look at a player like Luke List and think there's nothing to me that makes Will Zalatoris. I'm going to keep calling him Willy. His name's Will. That's gonna cause Will to win this more so than potentially Luke List. I think they have the same upside, honestly. So I'll play List all day long. Schink List is cash. The fade is Ju Young Kim, the South Korean 18-year-old phenom. I know he's really good. I know he's a great amateur.
Oh, wow.
$8,200 in this field is dumb. It's similar to the Will Zalatoris. It's hype, and it's a really good young player that will be good. And I'm all for getting in on people, you know, early, right? Like that's fun. You get on them early when they're cheap, but he's not really cheap. Like 8,200 in this field is not cheap. So don't buy the Ju Young Kim hype. I know he you know, he's a whatever. He's a good player, but $8,200 is not. You don't do that with the names that are surrounding him. I'm not buying it. So there you go. So GPP, I'm going Hoffman, and Schink. Cash is List. Fade is Ju Young Kim.
I mean, I think if you're comparing, you know, the hype of Kim to Zalatoris, it's totally different. I mean, Zalatoris has proven it like constantly all season long on the Korn Ferry Tour and then at the U.S. Open. You know?
Yeah, no, I didn't mean to compare it that way. I guess I'm just both have hype. I'm not that either one of them. It's not the same level of hype, but both are getting a little chatter. Yeah, I guess. Will is getting a lot more, and deservedly so.
So there is some agreement here. I had Luke List actually as a GPP play. And if I'm correct, he did win a Korn Ferry Tour event, didn't he, this year? Didn't he play in a Korn Ferry Tour event and win it?
Who you talking about?
Luke List.
Yes, he did.
So, I mean, he's a guy that's played, you know, like in a weaker field, he's done extremely well, which is like, and but he's got a ton of tour experience. So I like him as a tournament play. I could see why you'd play him in cash. My cash was actually Adam Schink. So, I mean, I guess you could flip-flop him for both of us. I mean, Schink is just, like I said, he's a cut maker. I like that price at 8,500, so I'm with you there. My other GPP play is, I'm going to screw this up. I knew it. I knew I was going to mess the name up, but Zinzoon Zhang.
Oh, yeah, Zinzoon Zhang. I like
Zinzoon Zhang at 8,400. I think he is a good play this week. Was 14th last week at the Safeway Open. If you look at the stats, he is He's checking the box off the tee, 16th in the field, checks the box in birdie or better percentage and par 5 scoring. I think he's got a good shot to have a really good week. I like that price at 8,400. So he's another guy I will play in tournaments. And then my fade at 8,000 is going to be Mr. Patrick Rodgers. I'm going to fade him. I think he's going to be
you're
too
gonna
highly
fade
owned
Patrick
this week.
Rodgers. That's hard for you. You okay?
It is very hard. But the only box he checks is off the tee. He is 108th in the field in approach, 116th in opportunities gained, 82nd in birdie or better percentage, 84th in par 5 scoring. He's really just not doing, anything that I feel like you need to do as far as scoring is concerned. Great, lately for this week. And his finishes on tour, I mean, yes, he's made his last 3 or 4 cuts, but he's not doing anything. I mean, he's making the cut and he's finishing T46, 70th, T66. I feel like he's going to have a little bit higher ownership than because he is Patrick Rodgers. And, I love him. I'm a big fan of him, but I'm a little worried about where that ownership is going to be at 8,000. So he will be my fade this week.
For the YouTube viewers out there, Marcus Miklovich, our resident hack photoshopper, has already done a great Bryson DeChambeau Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle on the brain villain with Shredder presenting the U.S. Open trophy. I mean, that is just beautiful. That's a fantastic job for the YouTube viewers. Look at that. Way to go, Marcus.
Good job, buddy.
All right. 7K, by the way, if you're listening right now and you're thinking, what, this is going to be the longest podcast in the world. It may be. But we're just going to go through the DFS picks and then the sportsbook kind of first look, and then that's it. No final segment tonight. We're moving on. 7K and above, 3 tournament plays, a cash play, and a fade. Pat, I will let you start this one.
All right. So I am going to start at 7,600, and I'm throwing out I told you before the show that I was going to kind of try to be a little bit different and not just throw out some of the same old names that you hear, because there's a lot of guys that might pop, Jonathan Vegas, a Keith Mitchell, blah, 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 in this 7K range. But I'm going with Rob Oppenheim at 7,600. I like him this week. You look at the stats, he's pretty level across the board when it comes to the scoring stats. He's, right in the top third of the field. But he has played this course before.
It's so hard to click his name. Just I see his name and I'm like, Rob.
It sounds like you're clicking on an attorney, like a
dentist, really. Dr. Oppenheim. That sounds like a dentist. He does fillings and root canals.
Yeah. Anyway, played this tournament 2 years ago and finished 35th. I just think he's in good form. You look at his last few, good putter. Look at his last few events. He finished T36 at the Safeway. He was T15 at the Wyndham Championship. So that's a good top 15 finish in a very solid field. So I like Rob Oppenheim at 7,600. Another guy I looked at 7,400 was Mr. Cameron Percy. I think he is a good play this week. He's played, you look at his last event, he was 23rd at the Safeway Open. You kind of like a puzzled look on your face there.
Yeah, I mean, okay.
You don't like Mr. Cameron Percy? You don't like Mr. Rob. Percy?
No. But I mean, okay, I like that you're giving the people, something to think about.
Just something to think about. I think Cameron Percy could have a good week. 4th in the field, by the way, in strokes gained approach, 26th in opportunities gained, and he is in the top 20 in par 5 scoring. So I think Cameron Percy could have a potential to score a little bit this week and give you a chance in those GPPs. And then the other guy I'm going with is a guy that pretty much, there was a lot of talk about him going into the Safeway, and then he missed the cut. But that is Chris Baker at 7,500. I'm back on Chris Baker this week. I think he can be a good play. For all the same reasons that we liked him at the Safeway, I'm liking him again this week. Checks a lot of boxes. He had some form going into the Safeway before he missed the cut. So I like him at 7,500. My cash play is going to be Will Gordon at 7,600. I think he's a good play. Just look, that guy, and the starts that he's had, he's done the best with them. He's had 11 starts on the PGA Tour. He's made 7 cuts. Checks a box when it comes to the stats. I mean, he's a stud, just like Will Zalatoris is a stud right now. When you look at the web.com, Will Gordon, the other Will, could easily do the same thing and has that win upside as well. So I think he is a good play. You can play him in tournaments or cash, but I do like him in cash. And then my fade, this is pretty easy. Graham McDowell. Look, he caught fire last year in this tournament, but other than that, he's been awful. I mean, he's missed like 5 or 6 straight cuts, doesn't check any boxes here. I don't think, you can look at the past champ and say that there's any really good reason to play Graham McDowell this week, especially at 7,800. I think he could be way cheaper than that. So there you go. That is my 7K range.
Well, I'm definitely eating some chalk in the 7K because I think that Will Gordon and Chris Baker, 2 guys you mentioned who I love, are going to be popular. Will Gordon, for me, is a tournament play, gives you all the upside you want, hits it a mile. You're talking about DraftKings points scored, birdie or better. He's going to rank very highly in those categories over the last 24 rounds. Chris Baker, very accurate tee to green, does not get himself in a lot of trouble. I have mistaken him for Christian Bezenhout, which Marcus Miklovich helped me discover. He is, in fact, not him, and he is from Indiana. He is an American. So this is the first podcast I get to pick Chris, and I get his nationality correct. So American Chris Baker from Indiana. God bless your soul. I'm a big fan of Chris Baker this week. Think it's a great spot for him. I will play him, and he is my cash play, but I also like him in tournaments. If I'm going to give you, let me give you a name that I don't think is going to be super popular, but in an olden day, maybe he would have, and that is Mr. Kevin Chappell. I'm going to get on the Chappie bus. Think about Kevin Chappell, right? Like a couple years ago, we were doing this. He was a great ball striker, cash play, solid player. I believe winner on the PGA Tour. I believe he's won on tour before.
He's been injured.
He's on a medical exemption. He's had some injury problems. Yeah, he won the Valero Texas Open in 2017. PGA Tour winner, President's Cup player. Kevin Chappell was a stud. We've seen him play a few events since the restart. Came out his very first event at the RBC Heritage, missed the cut, made all 3 cuts after that, but no real solid finishes. 56th at the Safeway was his last outing. But every start is valuable for Kevin Chappell, especially now that everything's kind of reset, and this PGA Tour year is what starts it, right? Like you got to finish in the top 125 now. You don't just keep your card. He's got to get a certain amount of points on this medical exemption. No better place than a weak field, typically alternate event for a guy that's got a lot of talent. He just had an injury issue. His caddy is experienced. He's got a great caddy on the bag. Now his old caddy went to Max Homa, but the new one's just as experienced. I can't remember his name. But I think Chappell's going to give you a little bit of ownership leverage and potential top 10, top 5 upside. Could win this thing.
He can score healthy, too. We saw him. He shot 59 in the last fall at the Greenbrier.
That's good. So I think Chappell may give you some value. My fade. All right. So Baker's my cash play. My fade in here is going to be a guy that I think his last time out, at least had a few good rounds. He finished 9th at the Safeway. James Hahn. He putted the lights out at the Safeway. He gained 5 strokes, almost 5 strokes putting. That normally does not happen. James Hahn is a guy that plays really well at the courses James Hahn historically plays well at, but he's never played here before. He's never had to play here before. I think he's going to check some boxes for people, but I think you need to stay away. It's just he plays well at Riviera. He plays well at certain courses, especially West Coast courses, POA, green surfaces. He does well there. I don't think this is a place for James Hahn. So that's it for me. Let's talk 6K range. Some flyers here in the 6K. I'm going to go with I'm going to go with the bomber, California kid, Brandon Hagee. Oh my God, did you hear that?
No, I did not.
Dude, I'm pretty sure my smoke detector just beeped. When that thing chirps?
Oh yeah, I've heard that before.
figure out which one it is in the house. I mean, this one, thankfully, in this room, I know what it is. But if that thing we're in trouble. I'm going to go with, Brandon Hagee, California guy, bombs it, hits it a long way. Can take advantage of the par fives like him. Let's see. Big fan of the Swaffer, Hudson Swafford here. I really like Swafford here. Good total driving guy, not super long, just good, solid ball striker. Can flash, I mean, in the spring before COVID, 9th at the Waste Management, 21st at the Honda. Hasn't done anything really since the restart, but I like Swafford at a mere $6,700. I'll take that. Martin Laird kind of popped for me, checking some boxes at 6,600.
Okay.
And finally, let me go way down here. So let's see, 6,500, a guy who checks a lot of boxes over the last 24 rounds, especially for a guy as cheap as he is. Finished 14th at the Safeway, 26th at 3M Open.
I know where you're going.
Michael Gligic.
Yes.
Gligic. Michael Gligic is checking boxes, taking names over the last 24 rounds. So I'll go with him. That's it for me.
Okay, well, he was one of my GPP plays down here in the 6K range, so we can go ahead and get that out of the way. Another guy that I like is Scott Brown at 6,900. Now, there's a little bit of a local feel to that because he's a local guy that we've interviewed on the pod before, but he's had success in turn. You look at what he won the Puerto Rico Open several years ago. That's on this Paspalum surface grass, so he had success there. You look at the stats, it's actually pretty decent here. I mean, he's 21st off the tee, 44th in opportunities gained, 25th in par 5 scoring. So I think Scott Brown could kind of sneak up out of here in the 6K range and have a good week. I like that. I like Grayson Murray at 6,400. I think he's a guy that you might even could look at like a first round leader bet. The guy's a scorer. He doesn't, I feel like he's just such an aggressive player that he's not necessarily going to be that guy that could be, you can rely on to be a cut maker, but I like him to score. I mean, he's 25th off the tee. He's first in birdie or better percentage. He's first in par 5 scoring. I mean, he's a guy that I just feel like you could see, pop for whatever reason. But I like Grayson Murray this week at 6,400. So there you go.
Yeah, I did notice on Instagram he's already pissing and moaning about $40 room service. So it was like a salad.
Regardless of his personality, which you can take or leave, I mean, he's like the opposite of Bryson. If we want to talk about personalities, I mean, he has. When I say opposite, I mean like. I don't know what I mean. He's just the opposite. I just feel like they're way total. Like if you put Bryson DeChambeau and Grayson Murray in a room together,
oh god,
the fight and everything that would ensue might be pay-per-view worthy.
Yeah,
it's like Grayson would probably have like you put him in a room. Let's just say we put him in a room. Like Grayson's probably got like all this alcohol and crap with him and whatever else.
Oh yeah.
And
Bryson's chugging his
and Bryson's on the other side of the room with a bunch of weightlifting equipment and some protein shakes and stuff. And then you tell him all right, y'all have to converse. Y'all got to talk about stuff. That would probably be a pretty interesting show.
Yeah, Bryson's super smart. Grayson is a Neanderthal, pretty much. So that probably would not go over very well. Lovely. Let's talk a little betting, a little sports betting, some DFS is out of the way. Let's talk some sports betting real quick. Taking a look at some numbers, man, I've already noticed a major drop. I mean, Will Gordon at 10, I don't know what time that was, 10:30, 10:45 this morning was 90-1 on DraftKings, and by 10:35 or 5 minutes after the actual time that I can't remember, he dropped to 66-1. I think some of these names are going to get shorter, as we've seen kind of happen over the last few weeks. So let's take a look at this over on DraftKings Sportsbook and PointsBet. Just kind of looking at some numbers here. What I find interesting is since this morning, guess who is favored on DraftKings to win this golf tournament?
Cory Connors.
Interesting. Cory Connors now same odds to win as Willy Zalatoris. That was not the case this morning. Interesting that I just said a pivot play from Willy Zalatoris should be Cory Connors. So somebody is with me here. I think that there's equal or greater winning upside for Cory Connors and Willy Zalatoris, but I think that's an interesting line move there. I mean, in a field like this, you guys know me. This is my bread and butter. I don't want to bet short numbers here because, Bryce Garnett, Graham McDowell probably wasn't, a great number when he won. This is definitely a spot where a first-time winner or a long shot can sneak up and get hot and win. So I'm not going to have a whole lot on it. Luke List has gone from 50 to 1, or no, actually, let's see. He was on, let's see what he was at. Do you have PointsBet pulled up? He's a 40 to 1 on DraftKings.
He's 40 to 1 on
name.
DraftKings.
He's a name that I start looking at. Okay, he's a 40 now. He's a 40 to 1 on PointsBet. He was 50 to 1 on PointsBet, so he's gotten shorter. I mean, I guess I would start there for me personally. Are you going to start any shorter than that?
I think the shortest I might look at would be you mentioned him as one of your tournament plays is Emiliano Grillo at 28 to 1 on DraftKings. I think that is a pretty good number for him. I didn't look at him on PointsBet, but yeah, he's 25 to 1 on PointsBet. So I think that's probably the shortest guy I would look at as far as bets are concerned. Other than that, I'm going to be a little bit longer. And a guy that we didn't mention on the show that I think I just don't like on DFS because I think his ownership might be too high. But I like Henrik Norlander. I think to bet on him, I think he's a good bet. He's 40 to 1 on PointsBet. Where is he on? There he is. He is 45 to 1 on DraftKings Sportsbook. I think he's the guy that I might like. There are some guys that I like to play in DFS, and then if I don't play him in DFS, I'm going to play him on, as far as an outright. He's one of those this week for me, Henrik Norlander.
Yeah, so I'm not betting anything shorter than 40. I mentioned Luke List has gone from 50 to 40 on PointsBet. He's at 40 on DraftKings as well. I'll take that. Sepp Straka is 40 to 1 on PointsBet, 33 to 1 on DraftKings. So grab him. We didn't talk about Sepp, but he fits the profile here as well. Long hitter, can take advantage of the par fives, plenty of distance, plenty of good form, has popped. Very talented player out of Georgia. So I think Straka at 40 to 1 on PointsBet, I'm willing to reach at or reach for. You mentioned Zinzoon Zhang is, how come I can't say his name without doing all that? He's 50 to 1 on DK. I think that's same thing on PointsBet. I think that's an interesting number. And then where's Johnny Vegas? I was looking at Johnny V. So Johnny has dropped significantly. He's gotten shorter. He was 66 to 1 this morning on PointsBet. He's 50 to 1 now and 45 to 1 on DK. That line is getting shorter, which should indicate a little bit of love coming in on Johnny Vegas. Definitely another long player that can score. What about Shank? We both talked about Shank, and we see him as a cut maker. I don't know about. He's 40 to 1 on PointsBet. That's the best number.
I don't know. I feel like that's still a little too. I mean, he could win. I just don't know.
Yeah.
I tell you a guy that I like, and I know this is just going to sound like a homer pick, but a guy who had some troubles, and he's got, he could be almost like the Brendan Todd of the fall of last year. We saw what Brendan Todd did, and then he got himself together, and then now it was totally different circumstances. For Brendan Todd, it was a game, whereas for this guy, it was more personal life. But Chris Kirk at 80 to 1, I think that's interesting. We saw him play in or several Korn Ferry Tour events. He won one of them and just scored a ton of birdies, just had a ton of birdies. And he's a guy, he's kind of gotten his life back together. He was very public, that he was suffering from alcoholism and things like that. So I think that, at 80 to 1, I think that's a pretty good number for a guy who has shown on tour in the past that he can win and, play well consistently. I like that number for him. I think that's good for Chris Kirk. So I'm a fan of that number. Same with Keith Mitchell at 80-1.
Yeah,
Keith Mitchell's another 80-1.
I was just about to bring up Mitchell. We didn't talk about him in the DFS section. I think this is an interesting spot for him. He's definitely been very up and down lately, but from a what he does well perspective, this is a great place for him. Hits it a long way, uses his length, takes advantage of the par fives, can get hot with a putter. Won at the Honda, very, very strong field, difficult golf course a couple years ago, but just been up and down. But I love the upside and the real true winning upside at 80-1 for Mitchell on DraftKings. I put him in that Will Gordon category of player. Hits it a long way, can take advantage of the par fives and is aggressive. So our boy Chris Baker, I wanted to look up him since we talked about him at length. Where's he at right now? Let's see. Man, he has gotten a lot shorter as well. So I looked this morning, pretty big line movement getting shorter from Gordon and Baker. He was 90-1. Let's see. That was on PointsBet. Where is he now on PointsBet? He's 66 on DK, I think. He's actually still at
very confusing looking back and forth on these different.
He's still at 90-1 on PointsBet. So I mean, if you want a little action on Chris Baker and you're in Jersey or Illinois, 90-1 on PointsBet, 66-1 on DK. Getting into the much longer shots, the triple digits, Peter Uline is a name that I looked at, once a revered, good player, young player. I think he played on a Ryder Cup team. Or present. I think.
Excuse me. Uline, he did not play on the Ryder.
I'm thinking I always get him and Thomas Peters confused for some reason.
I was about to say, you're thinking of Thomas
Peters confused. Uline is 125-1. I like that. Scott Harrington, 150-1. Scott Harrington hits it a mile. Dominated the Corn Ferry when he was on it. Won a tournament, a bunch of high finishes. 150-1 for him. And then I mentioned him in the DFS section. I love some Hudson Swafford. He's 150-1 on PointsBet as well. Great total driver. Has had some good finishes here lately. Good iron player, controls his ball. I like the Swafficer. That's probably it for my outrights.
Let me ask you about a guy who kind of pops a little bit from a DFS standpoint, only because he's finished well in the past here, but he played well last week. And now I can't find where he did last week. Hang on. Talk amongst yourself.
Great radio here.
Okay, never mind. I can't figure it out.
Jeez, now we're all just hanging. Who could it have been?
Oh, so yes, DJ Trahan was top 15 last week at the Safeway Open. He's 150-1 this week.
Yeah, he did come up for me.
Like, do you think you throw a few shinkles on that? I don't know.
Shinkles? Are you like Adam Schink or Shekels? What are you talking about?
Shekels, Shinkles. I don't know. It's a Corrales championship.
What's his top 20? DJ Trahan, what's like his top 20 number? Like, I'd feel better about that. That's DA points.
His top 20 number is on DraftKings Sportsbook.
5 plus 550.
Yeah, I don't like that.
That's too short for me.
Yeah.
I do a couple of top 20s that I think are interesting. Kelly Kraft is a top 20 bet at 10-1. He's got 2 top 5s at this tournament in both attempts, and he's on a medical exemption as well. So I think he played the Safeway. I'm pretty sure he played the Safeway. I don't have it in front of me and missed the cut. But that was his first event back in a while, if I remember correctly. Am I seeing this right? Let's see. Yeah, played the Safeway. That was his first event back after a while. He's got a medical thing, kind of like Kevin Chappell. I got to feel like the Safeway is knocking the rust off. But 2 top 5s at this golf tournament, Kelly Kraft, 10-1 is a top 20. That's a little bit longer of a number for a top 20 bet. And then at 12-1 top 20, Sean Stephanie has played here twice, finished 44th and 13th.
Are you sure that's not Stefani?
Whatever. I don't know. Who cares? Who gives a rip? It's the Sean whatever is what he is. He can take advantage of a really
Sean
weak field
McKeel.
like this. So 12-1, 12-1, top 20. Take it. That's it. That's all I got.
I'm out too. I have nothing else as far as the bets are concerned. For the Corrales Championship, what an amazing podcast for such a weak field of events.
Well, thank God for the U.S. Open recap. It's already gone way too long. We did this way too long. So anyway, let's wrap it up. Thanks everybody for listening. Thanks for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, we appreciate it. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Give this video a thumbs up if you're watching it. Subscribe to the channel over on YouTube, Tour Junkies. We put out all kinds of stuff. So check it out. We appreciate it. May your screens be green for the Corrales Puntacana Championship. See ya. Out.